Good evening, students. Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Suman Shankar. I also have with me Mithun Pai. We are both Rotarians from the Rotary Club of Bangalore Cantonment. So your participation is so important for us. As I have been telling you, our club does a lot of work for the benefit of the youth. We do a lot of programs, and this is one such initiative that we have undertaken for this Rotary year. So, thank you so much for being there. As you all know, this is a 10-day series. We are in day 4. And before I hand over to Mithun to introduce the speaker and set up the session for the day, I just thought I will share a few things with you. Yeah. Can everyone mute yourself, please? Okay, thank you. So, as you all know, we have created a WhatsApp group. The objective of this group is to share the daily updates in terms of who the speakers are, and also to provide you the link and the timings and so on. So this group has been created for your own benefit. And while we have students from our Rotaract clubs and students from our scholarship funds, it is not necessary that we have to confine it only to these students. So if you feel that there are others, your friends and your classmates who will benefit from this, you may please enroll them as well into this. The second thing that I want to tell you is that all the recordings of the previous sessions are available, and therefore not to worry if you have missed any of the sessions. We are on day 4 and we have 6 days to go. So there is a lot of learning that is yet to come. So therefore, please be there and please reap the benefit of this 10-day program. As you all know, we conducted this psychometric test, and more than 90 of you have actually enrolled for it. You have shown interest, you have enrolled in it, but there are several of you who are yet to complete the test. As I have been telling you, and you also had an introductory section on the test. See, the test is purely for your benefit. The test is going to aid you as you make your career choices, and the test results will be shared exclusively with you and only you. And therefore, please feel free, please utilize this opportunity. Those who have started the test, please complete it. Those who have enrolled for the test but not started as yet, I would request you to kindly start the test and complete it today itself. Okay, and finally, I do want to tell you that see at this age, it is important that you keep an open mind. I wish I were 20 years, 25 years younger, so that we had all these opportunities ahead of us. But this is a great opportunity that lies in front of you. And keep your mind open, keep your options open, participate in all programs. There is nothing that is definite as of today. And even if you're not interested in any particular career, just hear it out. It may be useful for someone else in your family. It may be useful for some of your friends. So just go with the flow, enjoy each day, and see what you can learn out of it. Right? With this, let me hand over to Mithun. He will introduce the speaker for the day. Thank you, students.
Thank you, Suman. Good evening, all students. As Suman was mentioning, all of you should take this opportunity to understand the whole effort that is being put in by Rotary Bangalore Cantonment to make you understand what are the different career options that are available for the fields that you have already, and it will give you a good insight into what is ahead of you. some of you probably are only in colleges right now, are not aware about the outside world. That's why we are, and this pandemic actually has given us an opportunity to make you available all these various persons in their field who have excelled in their fields to come to you and talk to you about their experiences and what are the journey that they have gone through and how are they seeing their future and what will be the opportunity for you. These are all definitely a good and very exciting times for you to participate in this webinar. And with that, I will introduce today's speaker also. I welcome Ms. Pinaz Mehta, who's a counsel at Samvad Partners. She is a lawyer by profession and qualification. So she has completed her law at Government Law College in Mumbai. She enrolled in the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa in the year 2002. So she's already a decade-year-old experienced lawyer, which we have. Pinaz is a qualified solicitor by the Bombay Incorporated Law Society. She has worked with reputed law firms in Mumbai and Bangalore, and her experience includes handling complex commercial arbitrations, general corporate advisory, and mergers and acquisitions. She has also received training in mediation. So mediation is actually a very good forum for a lot of professionals who are looking at. Introduce Pinaz Mehta and I'll hand over the proceedings to her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mithun. Thank you so much for having me here. And very good evening to all the students. Like Suman mentioned, I would also be happy to be 20 years down the line and have so many choices in front of me. I did my law around 18 years back. Yeah. And the opportunities that are available just in these probably 2 decades is just enormous. There's just too many things, too many new things, too many new facets of law, new streams. So it's really a very engaging time. So if you can just share the slide, Mithun. Yeah. Yes. So I say law the most fulfilling career option. I'll explain why. Can we just go on to the second slide? Can't see it, Mithun.
Suman, are you presenting it? Because I am unable to present. Yeah.
While Suman is working on that, we are a small group. So I would request everyone to participate and ask questions and, interact as much as possible so that, everyone benefits from this session. So before we step into why choose law, and I see that all of you all are in various already doing your BSc or BCom or BA. So how many here are really interested or looking at law as a career? Can some people post or some people raise their hands? Please switch on your videos. I would like this session to be a little bit more interactive. Anyone?
Shreya has raised a hand.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else?
Are you seeing any responses in the chat box, Mithun?
In my chat box.
No.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay.
That's okay. So when I say why choose law, so I've put in a few points. Now, law is a profession. The first point that I have made, law touches every aspect of a man's life. Now, why do we say that? Because law, unlike any other profession, say like probably a chartered accountant or something like that, is where they only deal probably with numbers or accounts or things like that. But a lawyer can actually touch every aspect of a person's life. So because the practice of law is so diverse, you can have so you need a lawyer for various purposes, personal laws for purposes of wills, succession, beneficiaries. You need law for business purposes. So lawyers are all the time, we as lawyers, most of our clients are companies. We advise them on how to, set up their business, how to operate their business, because there are so many laws which govern all these provisions. Then, of course, there are family-related laws. There are laws which govern the marriage-specific laws. There are laws which govern the Hindu marriages, all marriage laws, divorce laws. Succession, importantly, is another very interesting and important facet of law, where basically determine. So when a person dies, who will be the successor? What will be the rules governing that? Family matters. There are trusts. There are wills. So you name it, and of course there is a whole load of law in relation to insolvency. So again, there is when I speak of law, it actually is a very, very multifaceted profession, and that's why it gives you the chance to, in today's day and age, actually by each day, by each year, I see that the number of streams, the number of options. That's what I said when I began. The number of options are actually increasing. So it's as a profession, I find it extremely engaging. And it gives you multiple career options. So what I mean by multiple career options, like I spelled out all the various areas of law. A lawyer can work as work in a corporate department with a company. You can practice with a law firm the way I am doing. In fact, the best part about law, as I see it, one of the most important things is once you get your qualification, you can start practicing as an individual lawyer. So you don't, of course, you need a little bit practice. And that's why I always urge students, and once you join good law colleges, they have the option of giving you internships. So you're already very prepared in different areas of law. Once you become a graduate, you actually know probably with some certainty as to what you would like to specialize in. So you can also join the judiciary, when you can be a judge. You can, there is criminal law, there is civil law, you name it, and it's there, everything. There are some law also gives you the option of probably human right related laws, if some people are interested in something like that. So those options are also available. Now, when I speak of job satisfaction, why I say job satisfaction, again, I'm speaking from personal experience. When you are, so typically what is the work of a lawyer? And I would like to, say from the beginning that law is not what you see in the series. The series are a very glamorized version of law. Law is not all glamour. It's there, the glamour is there, it comes, but it is a lot of hard work. It's extremely, you need to put in a lot to achieve what you want in this profession. And I would say that it is not something which comes easily. It does require a lot of work and effort, because it's not something which we have to prepare for, our clients on a day-to-day basis. You have to read the papers, you have to analyze them, and then you have to read the law and see whether, just apply the facts of a matter with the law and see whether the client is complying with the law or not complying with the law. So there are various things. So when I say job satisfaction, when you are standing before a court of law, like many of us, like me, I do a lot of litigation work. Litigation means that we appear for our clients before a court. There are courts, there are tribunals. Tribunals are basically which are specialized in various fields. For example, there is a company law tribunal, which specializes in hearing company-related matters. So when we appear before tribunals and we prepare our case for our client, and then there will be one side, there will be the other side. So once you basically get some ruling in your favor, it is for your client whom you have worked so hard for. It's extremely rewarding as a profession. So that is why I was saying that it gives you that complete job satisfaction. It's challenging, but it's extremely good. Does anyone have any questions here? I would like to take a small break so I understand that whether you are with me or not in this. Anyone? Please feel free to ask questions. Anyone?
Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, you have told a lot.
Yeah. Can't hear you too well. Your voice is breaking actually.
Ma'am. What is that?
Vijay, your voice is breaking. Go ahead.
Can you repeat, Vijay? Or type in the chat box?
No, I think it's clear now.
Okay.
Go ahead, Vijay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the question which I was asking is what you explained that you told that law touches every aspect of a man's life, no, ma'am. What does that
Yes.
sentence mean?
So what it means is no. So what this means essentially is that law actually is not a very specific profession. Law, like I mentioned, covers a variety of topics. It's like when a person, succession related laws, there are marriage related laws, there are criminal laws, then there are, corporate law. So whatever you want to do at some stage, you will face some law or the other in your life. So that's what I'm trying to say, that law touches every aspect of a man's life. So as a lawyer and as a professional, when I have my day-to-day week, my 5 or 6 days of my week, I practice actually diverse law. I don't do something which is like a, routine on a daily basis. I see different things. On one day, I'm advising someone, say a company on probably some compliances or formation of a company. On the other day, I'm appearing before a court or a tribunal in some sort of other, probably a shareholders dispute or a dispute between two promoters or two founders. So what I'm trying to say is that's the reason why I said that it touches every aspect of man. Is that clear, Vijay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So why I say law can enable you to make a difference to the society, because law again has a very, as a lawyer, you can do so much to, help people to, in law school, I remember that we had some amount of hours that we had to spend to visit certain under trials who were awaiting their trials and help them out and prepare their petitions. Those who cannot afford, legal advice. So most of our law firms, we spend some amount of our time on a monthly basis, certain allocated hours to, help people who probably cannot reach out to lawyers, who cannot, afford the legal services. So there is so much that you can do. Like I mentioned that, there is always also a facet of human right law, which is also important. There are various laws which are governing human rights and, protection of women. As far as I am concerned, I do a lot of work also for some other NGO where I help out, tied up with people who help out women who need assistance, be it cases of domestic violence, be it cases of, dowry, or any other thing, equal protection at work, harassment at work. So we do a lot of these kind of laws as well. So it can definitely help you to make a difference to the society if you want to, put in a few hours or give something back that you have received for the well-being of the society. So just a few examples of few lawyers. I'm sure all of you know Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama. They've all been lawyers at some stage before they went into politics or any other profession. So can I just go on to the next slide, please?
Pinaz, there are 2 questions in the chat box.
Yeah.
Actually, someone. So,
Wish to become a judge. The Constitution. Okay, so this is probably an interesting question. It's come from. So in our Constitution, there are several rules. Okay, so let me explain. So Constitution basically is a document which sort of is the foundation of all our laws in India. There are some, let me tell you that we still follow very, very archaic laws, which we even had pre-independence, like our most important code of civil procedure, which governs all our civil related matters, which we primarily use when we appear before courts, is a piece of legislation which was formed in 1908. So similarly, there are lots of laws which we have. So let me give you a little bit of background. We do follow the British legal system to a very large extent for obvious reasons. So we still do end up following what is known as the common law, which is followed in all countries which were ruled by Britain and England at some point of time. So all the Commonwealth countries will have laws which are principally based on certain common principles of law. Unlike an American system of law, the laws that are followed in the US are completely different. So they are based on principles and basic principles of law which slightly differ than what we follow in a British system of law. So the Constitution, like I said, yes, there are several articles in the Constitution which are important, like right to equality, right to freedom of profession, right to religion, right to live. There are various articles in the Constitution. So basis these articles, various laws have been formulated over the years. When I speak about equality, the basic principle of the Constitution of India, everyone is equal before the law. So Article 14 of the Constitution basically postulates that everyone is equal before the law. So that's why there are several acts which have been formulated by the Parliament, be it where there is no discrimination probably while hiring, discrimination between payment of to man and woman working in the same kind of profession, working equally, so they should be paid equally, and things like that. So basically, all law stems from there, from the Constitution. So any violation of the Constitution of India, say for example, anyone says that I have been treated unequally, has to go before the court and plead that violation, and then the court will accordingly hear the matter and grant the appropriate relief. So that is as far as the Constitution is concerned. Minimum age of judge, judges again depend on various, so the judiciary basically has a hierarchy system in India. So we have the lower courts, we have the high court in each state, and then we have a Supreme Court. So the minimum requirement for a high court judge is at least a minimum practice of 10 years. It's not only that, there are lots of other factors also which get into play when you need to be appointed as a judge of the high court. But as far as the lower courts are concerned, there are civil exams which one can give. And I think there is a minimum year of 5 to 7 years. Probably I can share that information later. Lower courts, maybe at the magistrate level and all, you can get I think 5 to 6 years experience and then give the exams, civil services exam, and become judge. You can also become judge at the various tribunals. Like I mentioned, there are corporate, national company law tribunals and things like that, which your specialized matter. So you can get a lot of information on the judiciary exams already on, you can do a Google search and you can get that. So yeah, that's the basics about the judiciary. Can we go on to the next slide, please?
Okay, there's one more question.
Suman?
There's one more question.
We're going to start. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so basically, when you are going to start a startup, there will be several laws, and the most important law will be the corporate law, which is the Companies Act, which governs the starting of any company, incorporation of a company that we call. And the Companies Act basically will tell you that when you start a startup, of course, how many people need to get together to incorporate a company. You can also do it in the form of a partnership. You can do it in the form of a limited liability partnership, which will be governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Act. So depending on what is the nature of the business, what is the kind of capital that you require, you will have to decide what is the kind of outfit, basically, whether you want to do a partnership or a company, that you can decide it. So primarily, the law which will govern the startup will be the Companies Act as far as the incorporation is concerned. Then, depending on the nature of the business that you propose to do, you have to, every business requires certain licenses and permissions, which you have to take from the relevant local government or the central government for starting the business, which you will have to take into consideration those laws. Like probably to set up a shop or establishment, you have to get a certificate from the Shops and Establishments Act, under the Shops and Establishments Act. To start a clinic, there are various laws which are applicable for starting a clinic. So on and so forth. So it's then very specific to what you want to do. So I hope I have answered this question sufficiently.
Yes, Kaif, good to go?
Yeah. So shall we move on to the next slide?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
So this brings us to a very, very important portion of this. I see it as a very important aspect of So when I say, so I remember at the beginning of the session, I think Suman was mentioning about, taking your psychometric tests or things like that. In order to, these are basically tools for you to assess, what is what. See, there are two things. One is what you want to do, and the most important thing is what you are capable of doing. So one has to understand your mental capabilities, your attitude, your capability of doing a few things before you make a career option choice. So another thing which comes to my mind, which I guess you all are all already into your graduation. So some of you who are keen to do law should in fact consider applying to law firms and getting an internship whenever you can, to probably work for 3 weeks or 4 weeks with a law firm. Maybe it may be for a couple of hours, it may be for 2 hours, it may be for 3 hours. That we will, you will be able to get an exposure and understand whether this profession is actually, try and get an understanding whether this profession is actually meant for you. So, when we get interns, we actually now started getting interns. Like right now, we have an intern who's in who's doing his 12th. So we have younger students, who are also coming to law firms and getting an exposure, because we send them to court, we take them to court whenever possible. Those they see the matters, they see how the practice is being conducted. So they get like a first-hand experience. So if any of you really wants to, understand whether law is meant for you, whether you are keen, you may please feel free to reach out to me, and I will try and put you across to, certain internships, maybe for a few weeks, for you to get exposure. So please do feel free to reach out to me for that. And similarly, you can use, I'm not only talking about, lawyer. If there are similar, avenues open for you to go and assess, I think it's an extremely good thing to do, because that gives you a practical exposure, which no book or no Google can tell you that how, a profession would pan out for you. So I think it's very important for you to do at least 3-4 internships to try and understand which career option. If you have 3-4 in mind, you can probably, try out 3-4 of those and see whether they are something that you would really be a good fit for. So qualities of a good lawyer, strong, when I say strong moral and independence values, I know that there is a lot said about the lawyers, there's a lot heard about the lawyers, but according to me, that's why I place this as the most important virtue and value of a lawyer. When strong moral and ethical values is something which makes a lawyer and takes you really far, rather than making a quick buck, or so when I mean strong moral and independence value is for a lawyer, for me, the client's interest and is the most important one, right? When a client comes to me, I will put that interest at the highest. And when I mean moral, when you are obviously arguing before a court of law and before various things, there are lots of ethics which are important. So I feel ethics is a very, very important virtue or value that you need to have to become a good lawyer. And that's something which is not something which should be compromised, though we do see lawyers compromising it all the time, but I don't think it's worth it. Hardworking, like I said, please don't think that law is something which we see in movies, or we see in serials, that that's not law. Law is yes, it's all there. Like I said, it's glamour as much there, but at the same time, it takes a lot of effort to work on a particular matter. It takes very long hours. Most of the times, young lawyers Sometimes we end up working through weekends. We work 7 days a week. Sometimes we are working till 2 a.m. So it really depends from matter to matter. And it really depends on, whether you're working in a law firm, whether you're working in a corporate. But it's definitely something which requires you to put in a lot of hard work. So just to give you an example, and hard work actually plays a very important role in a lawyer's life, because ultimately when you have to appear before a court or when you have to negotiate a contract, depending on what field of law you are practicing, it's up to you to prepare. So nobody else can, spoon feed you or guide you after a certain extent. You are on your own. So one needs to put in that hard work as a law. A persistent and never give up attitude is extremely important, because from personal experience, I can say that law is something which is at certain points, especially litigation, when we appear before courts, litigation can be quite negative, because you will not always get, because litigation is something which involves three parties, right? It's you for your client, there will be an opposite party, and there will be the judge. So it's not possible for the judge to always accept what you are saying. You may argue your matter, you may feel that you have done your best, but probably the ruling may not come in your favor. So, it can be a little demotivating various times, even after 18 years of my life, when I don't sometimes get a ruling in my favor, I do get demotivated. But you have to go on. You have to never give up that attitude, right? So basically, just to make you understand, the system works that suppose if a lower court passes an order, the law says that you can appeal that order before a higher court. So you have various stages to go through before you ultimately get a final resolution in the matter. People go up to the Supreme Court. So it takes a long time. It can take 15 years. It can take 20 years. It can take whatever time it takes. So this attitude is extremely important. Persistence is extremely important. Logical and analytical mind is something which I think everyone who wants to get into law should possess, because law at the end of the day is, reading and understanding what is written in the law book and then applying it in, in the facts and circumstances of your client. What your client wants to do, what your client has done, what your client has not done. He may have not complied with something. So how do you advise him? How do you tell him that whether what he has done is in accordance with law? Are there any loopholes? How will you use the loopholes? Is all something that you will only be able to do if you possess the reasoning and analytical. So law is all about analyzing. Devil is in the detail. Yes, the devil is completely in the detail as far as law is concerned. You cannot miss any point. And as you know, a comma and a full stop and a not can make a lot of difference as far as law is concerned. Even a single word not can make a lot of difference to the advice that you are giving to the client. So you have to be extremely meticulous with what you are doing. You cannot miss out any details whatsoever. The last and the most important thing that is attitude versus aptitude. Like what I see in most younger students, and what I feel over the years of my practice is that you may have the aptitude, you may have the qualities, you may have the, you may have graduated probably from one of the best national law colleges in India, or you may do your LLM from the UK or US. But at the end of the day, what is required is your attitude that is most important. It sort of, it's important to be grounded. It's important to put your client's interest before everything else. It's important to, be, like I said, be independent, be moralistic about it, hardworking. So it's ultimately your attitude which will take you far. So it's, I think, a combination, and I think this is something which applies to any career choice that you would, right? So it's not only law specific, but I feel that it is extremely important to have a right attitude to make it to do well in any career that you make. So anyone has any questions here? Please feel free to ask.
Pinaz, I will ask something. This is Mithun here.
Mithun.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, see, a lot of people are coming from different streams, say like science or arts or commerce or say psychology or different fields. So do they have any different approaches when they see the law? Can they get into law is what I'm trying to ask. I mean, some of them may have that questions.
Yeah, they definitely can. Because see, like I'm going, if you can just move on to the next slide, I will just answer that.
Most of the students who are here
basically so basically law courses in India is divided into the PG, the 3-year course, and which is your post graduation. Your undergraduate course basically is integrated with your all 3 streams, which is your BA, your BSc, and the BCom. So basically what happens in the 5-year course, I have myself done, so I can speak from experience. Of course, when I had done my law, NLUs were not there. There was only Bangalore, and we used to have the traditional law colleges. So, but I still, I have done the 5-year course. So when we start off in the 5-year course, after the 12th, in my 13th, so the first 2 years of law in the 5-year course, you will be doing more of the, subjects like literature, or you may do a certain logic as a subject. You do a few other things, economics also as a subject. So depending on now, what I understand is that they have integrated these 5-year course, so they can be in a BSc, for example, they will give you some science related subjects. In the commerce one, they give you some style, commerce accounting and math and whatever else is there. Is there in the first 2 years, and then in the 3rd year onwards they go on to the law subject, which is then teaching you all the civil laws, criminal laws, cyber law, marriage law, divorce law. All those things are covered till the last year. So this is basically, it can be taken up by anyone. There is no restriction. The 3-year course basically is done after graduation. So even if you graduate from your, you do your BSc, BA, BCom, it doesn't matter. Anyone can get into the PG 3-year course, provided you have the eligibility that they require.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So as I was saying, there are some, I think 23 NLUs right now in India, the National Law Universities. So I would recommend that if somebody is keen on doing law, they should definitely be pursuing these colleges. So they have a common law entrance test, which is held every year. And one needs to take that entrance test in order to get into these NLUs. Each state has an NLU now, most states have an NLU. The one in Bangalore, luckily we in Bangalore have the opportunity of having the #1 law college in Bangalore, which is the National Law School Bangalore, which is considered and has consistently been rated as #1 in India all throughout the years. When we speak about subjects, the typical differentiation between law subjects is the civil and the criminal laws. But then, there are specific laws, like there are company related laws which govern companies. There are testamentary laws which govern, your wills, how succession will happen. There are family related laws. There are cyber laws. There are various other laws, insolvency laws. So there is a whole load of laws which are, taught at in the law school. So one can also specialize, when I mean LLM, one can specialize in these laws and you can do an LLM in corporate law, you can do an LLM in your criminal law, you can do an LLM in civil law, you can do whatever you want. So that's obviously after you finish your graduation in law. So many students take that up as well. You can of course also do your PhD in any subject or in any particular topic that you want. So that's far as the education is concerned. Mithun, can you change? I'm not sure if I have any other slide. Opportunities in law, like I mentioned in the beginning itself, you can choose to work with a law firm. So basically a law firm is a group of lawyers who get together, and we sort of have diverse practice areas even in a law firm. The most law firms in India who do civil law, which is do not deal with criminal law. For example, I don't deal in any criminal law at all. So there are persons and firms which specialize in criminal law, if anyone is interested in doing that. So law firms generally will hire fresh graduates, and they will hire from law schools. Most NLUs and most good colleges in India have a tie-up with law firms. They come for on-campus recruitment, and they have camps where they choose lawyers. And actually, you have a job even before you, sort of get graduated. So you can, of course, do a lot of internships, like I mentioned. So you can work with law firms. Lots of students are doing internships even with the judges. A little high later, not in the 12th grade and all that, but a little later, once they are sufficiently in their final year or something like that, they will go and work with a judge to see how the judiciary works and things like that. Independent practice you can do as soon as you complete your law. Once you get your degree, whichever degree that you choose for, you can practice your law once you are enrolled with the Bar Council. So in order to practice before a court of law, you need to be enrolled with the Bar Council. Every state has a Bar Council. It's like a license to practice, basically. It's not no exam or anything, but you have to get enrolled there. Legal departments of corporates, I mean, lots of freshers and lots of other lawyers are working with legal departments in the corporates, and they are basically known as in-house lawyers. So they will advise the company on whatever are the compliances, because the company has to do a whole load of compliances with various laws, like I mentioned. So every year they have to file those compliances, whether they are compliant or not. So one aspect of that is the compliance department. The other may be another, legal department which takes care of all the, contracts which the company enters into. Contract drafting, negotiation with clients, and whatever are the other service providers. So those are the things that legal departments do. Judiciary, of course, we discussed that you can, get after a sufficient number of years of practice, and certain courts require an examination to be taken. You can also sit as a judge. So these are a few opportunities that are there in law as far as the profession is concerned. I see a question from someone, why Indian judicial system is very slow. Yes, it's a very, very good question, and an extremely burning issue that we all have been facing. And all of us bear the brunt of it daily as lawyers when we appear before courts. The reason for this is twofold, as I see it. One is the number of cases that are pending currently before the judge runs into millions. It's very high, and the number of judges that we have presently is very low. So primarily, that is a reason why the judicial system is very slow. And typically, we also feel that it depends on how litigation works in India, because if somebody has a claim, suppose if you typically what happens in court on a daily basis. Let me give you just a couple of instances. There could be like a monetary claim. Suppose if you have entered into a contract with someone to supply you something as a company, two companies enter into a contract, one has to supply something and the other is the recipient. And that one company fails to supply that or supplies something which is deficient. So obviously then, or fails to pay, then obviously if at all we cannot reach to a settlement, we will obviously have to go before a court and say that, okay, this is the money I owe to him and he is not returning my money, he's not paying. So principally, I would say 60, 50, normally 50% of matters are in relation to these kind of things where, it's recovery of money, as we say. So these are civil nature of disputes. So they go before the civil courts. So the thing that happens and the delay is caused because when a person who is making the claim has to file his documents, the person who's on the other side will file his set of documents. And then there is a lengthy procedure of cross-examination and things like that. So that, and at every stage, lawyers are quite also equipped to, put spokes and say that, okay, to try and delay the process, because obviously if I am at the side of, my client is the person who has to pay the money, I will obviously try and delay the matter as much as I can. So it depends on which side you are and, things that you do. So that's the reason. But principally the delay is because of the lack of judiciary and the number of judges, ideally, which we should be having when we don't have. And the number of cases is very high. So that's the thing. Yeah, I feel that in certain countries, the judicial system is far more evolved. Like US, it's pretty fast. In Singapore, it is pretty fast. So it depends from country to country, actually. Class 12, I'm planning to take on integrated course. Yeah, so I think we've already discussed this, that if you want to take up a integrated course, it gives you the advantage of having that subject. Like if you're a science student, you can have those subjects, have the benefit of that subject, and also probably get the benefit of not losing time and getting into the law. If you're sure that you want to do law as a profession, then you can go into the 5-year course and start pursuing. How many law firms are there in India? Vijay, it's a difficult question. There are quite a few. I feel there would be, I really can't say. It's a very, I can't answer because like I said, even certain law graduates who are freshers have incorporated law firms. They are practicing on their own. So there are innumerable. I mean, I can't really put a number to this right now because there would be quite a few. But then I think if one really wants to not do an independent practice and wants to get into a good law firm, there would be probably those, 10 or 12 in the tier 1 and the tier 2, which you may possibly aim to get into, because the reason is that the exposure to matters, because these, the law firms who are in the tier 1 would probably having the cream of work, and they would be probably, advising big corporates. They would have those kind of matters where you can get a good exposure. So not to say that, anyone else who is in a smaller law firm or in a law firm of 2 people is not doing well. For me, it doesn't matter, to be very frank. I feel that for a lawyer, it's most important for me to assist my client and get justice for the client, rather than, seeing that, okay, you're in a top law firm or whatever, but it depends from person to person and what you are looking at. So, any more questions? Is there loopholes in our judicial system? Oh, there are lots of loopholes in every. So basically, like I mentioned, every law, any and every law. So let me tell you this: when you speak about a law as a practice, like I mentioned, you have a particular statute. So you have, for example, your company-related law, right, which gives you the various provisions of the corporate law. Now, say a person is required to do something in a particular manner, depending on the kind of lawyer that you hire, the person will be able to point out those loopholes to you and will be able to tell you that, guide you that, yes, this is how you can do your business. So one needs to understand that all this is not a violation of law. It is just an interpretation to benefit your client. It's not necessary that no lawyer will tell you to, violate the law, because then obviously you are in for some sort of punishment or penalty. But within the four corners that are available to you, how you can play around, how you can use the language of the statute, and how you can work around that is something which a good lawyer will be able to tell you. So yes, loopholes are there in the judicial system, in every law, in every statute that you will come across. So there is a lot. Approximately up to what salary? So depends. Again, like I said, the law firms are divided into 3-4 tiers. The top tiers, obviously, it's a little difficult. Most of the hiring is done from the national law schools and the national law universities by the law firms. So there, my understanding is the fresher's salary could go up to 20 to 24 lakhs to even begin with, or maybe more per annum. So that's only of the top few law firms, maybe 5 or 10 of them probably. But the others typically would be in the range of, for a fresher, say, probably 7.5 lakhs or 6 lakhs per annum or something like that. It really depends from law firm to law firm and which corporate you join, and it matters which university you are from. It matters which law course you have taken. And like I said, NLUs get the precedence over the other universities as far as hiring is concerned, because the hiring happens on campus itself. So most of the good students are picked up by these prominent law firms or corporates, and they are placed even before they graduate. So yeah, this is the kind of salary structure that is. What is the justice should be done for client? Yes. Justice should be done. See, as far as a lawyer is concerned, so typically you face this issue more when you're dealing with criminal laws, right? In corporate law, on a day-to-day basis, we are not in this, moral or dilemma kind of a thing, so to speak, that who is right and who is wrong, because most of the times it is not black or white. Law is not black or white. It's very gray. It's very difficult, and principally that is a reason why we have such detailed law and the judiciary system in place, because they say, like, no, you're not guilty until proven guilty, right? So in order to be proven guilty, you need to go through an entire thing in the system, right? You need to file, for just like in a layman's term, you have to file your case, the other side will file your case, then probably you will have your witnesses, they will have their witnesses to say something which is in their favor. So I will normally cross-examine their witness to prove that they are wrong. They will cross-examine our witnesses. Then you have the final arguments on law, which the lawyers do. So typically you have to go through this entire, entire exercise to reach to a conclusion whether what your client is done is right or wrong. So most of the times, initially when clients come to us, it's very difficult for us to know whether our client is right or wrong. When you actually go through this entire process, is when you come to know that a client, whether it's, and then still, and that's what I said earlier also, that still ultimately the judge is a third party. So you may say something, the other side may say something, the judge may have a completely different view. He may take a completely different view that day. He may take a different view another day. So, of course, we follow a very strong precedent system in India. So when I say precedent, what I mean is that the cases that have been heard before the High Court and the Supreme Court are reported. So they get written and they are reported. So basically, the entire judgment is recorded. And that sort of has precedent value. So tomorrow, if you have a case which is of similar facts and the similar laws involved, then you read that, you see what it says. And the judge will be bound by the precedents given by that particular High Court. And definitely High Courts are bound by whatever has been said by the Supreme Court, because that's the highest court. So we follow the English system of precedent. So obviously judges are bound by precedent that the courts have earlier given. So, but yes, as far as your client is concerned, you are bound and you are sworn to protect your own client. So whether the client is right or wrong, you still have to protect your client. So, and as lawyers, we are protected by privilege. Whatever is discussed between the lawyer and the client is confidential. It cannot be shared unless there is a violation of law, or there is a public policy related issue, or there's some other corruption issue or something like that. Then probably there are some exceptions to the rule, but otherwise whatever is there between the lawyer and the client is confidential in nature. It cannot be shared. So yes, if the client may be good or bad, you nevertheless, if you've decided to take up the matter, you have to see to it that you represent to the best of your ability. Is there anything else?
Any more questions, students? Yeah, thank you, Gopi Krishna. Yeah, there's one more from Venkatesh. Venkatesh has been asking interesting questions.
Interesting case. I think as far as my practice is concerned, there are, yes, a few interesting cases that I have worked on. I think the most interesting one, let me think. I think more than the routine, corporate disputes between, two corporates are fighting between each other. I have done some other family-related, disputes as well. So we had a conciliation. Like I said, mediation is an important facet of law today. We do a lot of, and what I mean by mediation is something where rather than telling the client that you can just go to court and fight before a court of law, we try and bring them to the settlement and see what they want from each other, what are the pain points, and we tell them to come to a conclusion and a settlement rather than spending time, effort, costs before a court for 10 years or 15 years. We tell them to get together and mediate. So I remember doing one sort of mediation in Bangalore, and it was extremely fulfilling because there were a dispute between two brothers of a very big partnership, very well-known partnership, and we got them together and we sort of help them to, understand their disputes and come to a common ground and come to a conclusion. So those kind of cases give a lot of satisfaction as far as we lawyers are concerned. So, and of course, there's a whole load of other emotional and other things involved in this, because there's a family angle to it as well. So we need to take care of that. It's very sensitive. So we had 2-3 sessions where we had to sit for till 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. But finally we could reach to a conclusion. So yeah, that's something which is a interesting case that I dealt with. Do you think that Supreme Court gave the right decision in handling? I didn't understand. I didn't understand this question, Vijay.
Ma'am, that's farm laws are happening in across farmers are protesting for farm laws, no, ma'am. So did Supreme Court give the right decision in handling those farm laws? I'm asking you, ma'am.
Which is the particular one? Because I'm not sure if I really recollect which one you are referring to.
Ma'am, the question which I asked now.
Farm laws in the sense for agricultural purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
So is there anything specific?
Like
What is
nowadays the farmers, I think nowadays the farmers face a lot of problems now. They get justice if they go to Supreme Court. I think he's asking.
See, again, the thing is that what I feel is that sometimes it's justice is there, justice is given by the court. It's the essence of a court system is that it dispenses justice. The problem that we face, and like we mentioned, is the getting like we said, there are lots of loopholes in every law, right? So what happens is that when you approach a court of law, the clever side or the clever lawyer may use that, whatever are the loopholes available in that particular legislation, and try and get an adverse judgment. So we've seen this in various various aspects as far as law is concerned. So you don't really see justice immediately, but another big problem is the delay aspect that we deal with day in and day out. So what we feel is justice delayed is justice denied, but most of the times justice is delayed, unfortunately, before courts. So I'm not 100% sure whether when you go before a court you will get justice in the like the typical what you see in movies or things like that, because it's not something which is so straightforward.
hello?
Yeah, Mithun?
Yeah, Mithun?
Suman?
No, I just wanted to check whether there are any more questions.
And please feel free to even mail me anytime later. I'll be happy to answer. And like I mentioned, if anyone is very keen on doing law and wants to talk to me one-on-one, please feel free to call me. I would be really happy to help with answering any questions or giving you more insight, or probably helping you with an internship if you're keen on doing that. Please feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much, Pinaz.
Most welcome.
I mean, she has so much of rich experience and she's so knowledgeable. And, I'm sure that those who have attended today's session would have, gained value out of participating in this discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good luck to all of you all.
Ma'am, what's your phone number, ma'am?
Suman can share my email address. I'll be happy to answer any questions on it.
Certainly. I'll also email the presentation that Pinaz has made today. And in case anyone is specifically interested, I can connect you to Pinaz.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pinaz, for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, students, for
everyone.
joining today. See you all tomorrow. Tomorrow we have another fantastic session, a fantastic speaker, and the topic is money. So I hope to see you all again tomorrow at the same time, 4 p.m. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Bye. See you, Mithun. Bye, Pinaz.
Thank you.